keep me going all day, yeah. Somebody, somebody, somebody gotta do it. Somebody, somebody, somebody gotta do it.
Welcome to another episode of SGDITALKS. My name is Yusuf Jai. I am your host, and today we have three amazing guests here on the panelists. I'm going to let them introduce themselves first, and then we're going to introduce the topic and dive right in.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is David Bango. I'm from Philadelphia, and I am from Trinidad originally. And I recently graduated from Johnson & Wales University as a culinary major. I am so happy to be here, and I am ready to add some worth to this conversation.
Nice.
I'm Aaliyah Mayo. I'm originally from Coatesville, Pennsylvania. I just graduated this year from Temple University with a degree in journalism. You can check me out on my podcast, Inside Talk with Aaliyah Mayo. I stream on all podcast platforms.
Nice.
What's up, y'all? I'm Darius Hockaday. I'm from Maryland, so shout out to the DMV. I also just recently graduated from Temple University as a marketing major. That's where I am now a marketing analyst for JP Morgan Chase and CEO and founder of Hockaday & Co. LLC. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, and I'm happy to have you guys. And congrats to the Temple alums. I hope
Thank
to
you.
join y'all one day.
Thank you.
But I really appreciate you guys taking your time to come here to talk about this topic today, which is going to be about relationships, relationship talks in general. So it could be intimate, it could be a friendship, business, you name it. So with that being said, my first question is, what is the base to an ideal or healthy relationship, whether platonic or intimate? So whoever chooses to go first can start.
All right. So, to start, I feel like the base of that would be understanding each other's trauma. Because when we start in a relationship, I feel like everyone starts off as if being in that relationship is phase one. That's not where phase one should start, because that means you would neglect everything that came before that. And then people would usually wait like a month or two into the relationship to get comfortable with each other, to start dealing with like problematic things. But by that time, all of those, I guess, like minute things that happen in that relationship are based off of that past trauma. And now you've already assimilated yourself to all of those small nuances. So by that time, you're already rolling that ball. And once you catch it, it's going to be too comfortable to even like say, hey, we should revisit this a different way. So I feel like that's where we got to start.
I was going to say communication, because in order to, it's such a cliche answer. It's such a cliche answer. But I think it's also overlooked, because in order to understand someone's trauma, that individual is going to have to be able to communicate that to that partner, right? And if they're not able to do that, there's going to be a lack of understanding. Any type of relationship, you have to communicate intentions. You have to communicate the terms of what the relationship is going to be, etc. So if there is no communication, it might be great at first, but it's bound to fail.
Wow.
I would say boundaries.
Ooh.
Like, I think the basis to a good, healthy relationship, whether it be with a friend or your partner, or even a mentor, like you have to have boundaries and expectations. I agree with, disclosing your trauma and communicating that, but that can like send people running. Like, you don't want to send them running, letting them know like, hey, I have all this crazy stuff that happened to me, but I'm different. Like, you kind of have to show people, because like it's better to show them that you're different. And then I guess as things come up and it'd be like, well, where did this come from? Well, this is where it came from. Like, I believe in letting things happen naturally and like organically. But boundaries is the basis of all of that. Like, you don't disclose your full self. Your story is your story. So you don't want to over disclose and to people who don't matter. Because, I mean, 1 month in, 2 months in, you don't know if you're going to be with that person. So why disclose your full, true self so early if that person's not going to be in your life for a long time? So I would say boundaries and expectations, being 100% clear. What do you want from the relationship? What are you looking for? A lot of people, especially in our generation, don't know what they want. So they choose to be like, I'm not sure what I want, but let's hang out. That's toxic. toxic. That's toxic. You have to know what you want. You have to know why you want to be with this person. And it's okay to be like, I just like your company.
Right.
That's honesty.
Right.
We have to start taking the truth, because we always say, you know, don't lie to me, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
And I have to say, a lot of women, they want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth, but the truth is better. And if we create that healthy communication where you can disclose the truth to your partner, then all the other things will be beautiful. Exactly.
Wow.
Well said.
Yeah. Go ahead, Derek.
No, I was just saying, that was well said.
I think y'all all like hit points that's very crucial. Like you mentioned trauma.
Yeah.
But I do believe, like to your point, like boundaries, because I think a lot of people go into situations like broken and expecting their partner to fix them.
Yeah.
And in the communication aspect, I think a lot of people like to be communicated to, but don't like to communicate. So I definitely see those aspects. And I want to take it a little further more too, like just in general, like right now, where you guys are in your life, how important are the relationships to you? And with all the relationships to you, how important are relationships to you right now in your life?
Very important. Yeah, absolutely.
I take relationships so seriously, even friendship, because there are people that say, oh, we're friends, but do not hold up to what a friendship is usually, you know, supposed to be. And I don't like the way that we now throw around words so loosely. You know, it's loose.
Okay.
Because the terms aren't up to par. The standards aren't there. The understanding of where our friendship actually exists, that's not there either. So when someone says, "Oh, you're my friend," you can't even tell how far along you know that friendship is anymore, because everyone just says they're your friend.
Yeah.
So for me, when I say someone's my friends know, okay, like he knows that person well enough to understand how they vibe, how they think, what they do, why they do what they do. And that's someone he's going to be around for a long time. But if I'm like, okay, like that's an acquaintance or that's just someone I know, they know to understand that completely differently, because they're just not on that scale.
Okay.
Most people aren't that transparent, though. Let's be honest. Most people aren't like, oh, you're just an acquaintance. You know, they're like, because we want people to be our friends. And I feel that healthy relationships, like the relationships where it's like, oh, I have a gig, I know I can call this person. Oh, my friend needs a photographer. Those are the kind of like relationships I like to have around me. I like to have people that I can put on necessarily. Like I like to surround myself with what I like to call my tribe or my table, where it's like, oh, you need a marketing expert? I got you. Oh, you need an outfit? You looking for this vibe? I got you. I feel like in the age and the era of social media, we take like close-knit friendships a little too loosely. Like, each relationship is so different. You don't want to over disclose or overshare to people who are going to be working with you. Why? Because you're in a business setting, and now all I can think about is you twerking last night. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to have, you know, like a little bit of mindfulness of what we're showing people and why are they our friend. Are you my friend because you just see me post, or are you my friend because you know me? You know, being aware of what we're giving the world and what the world is giving back to us, because like you said, an acquaintance and a friend are very different. I would say we have 14,000 acquaintances maybe online, but how much of those people are really truly our friends and know you, you know? So it's like those acquaintances are always up for friendship promotions. You know, I like to say, like, I'm the CEO of my life. I hire and I promote accordingly, and history doesn't make you a friend. You know, I can meet someone, come on now, because I can meet someone in one day and be like, I literally love you, your soul aligns with mine, you're a friend. You're a friend, day one. You know, it's just differentiating those relationships and being like, you have to be able to use your intuition and know which relationships you can see as mature, healthy relationships and which relationships are petty and immature. Those aren't the relationships you want around you.
Well said.
Yeah, and you gotta be straight up with yourself.
Right.
And I feel like that's the hardest part within a relationship, is no one can be honest with yourself. Because like you said, everybody wants friends to be with everyone.
Yourself. I just caught on to what you just said.
You have to be honest with yourself about what you want. Because similar to you, if you're my friend, I'm putting you on. Like, I promise I will ride for you. Like if you're looking for a job, I'll connect you. Like if you need this, I'll put you on, just like you said. So you have to be honest with yourself. Is that person going to do the same thing for you? If you're down and out, are they going going to put you on like you would put them on? What is the means of that friendship? On a mentor level, like, you know, it's important. If you're going to be my mentor, I need you to lead me. You know what I mean? And if you're not holding your end of the bargain, you have to be honest with yourself on, am I getting what I expected coming in? Because a relationship, honestly, is just an agreement, right? At the end of the day, it could be a business agreement. It could be an agreement on love and feelings. It could be anything. But if you're not honest with yourself, people are going to get over on you.
Yeah.
And people will use you, especially if you are that kind of person that'll put people on. You know, they're going to use you as that person, you know, part of your network. You know, oh, man, I'm looking for a job. You know, let me call Darius. I haven't talked to him in like 6 months. I'm going to call him and ask if I say I need a job. You know, social media is a lie. Like you said it too.
It keeps people so close to you.
Yeah.
It keeps. I like literally
almost
had,
too close.
I had like a revelation. I had I'm telling you guys, I had a whole revelation about this, and I'm writing a book about it, honestly, because I've been, and I want to say a user, because it feels like a drug, social media. Like I've been using social media since I was 11 years old.
Wow.
And now I'm starting to realize that it's keeping relationships close to me that God doesn't want in my life. No, I'm so serious. And it's so like they can just click and they can type and then it's there and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But no, like that person doesn't talk to me, that person doesn't call me, that person doesn't check on me, that person doesn't do anything for me. And I keep them so close because of social media. So you have to know, like, protect yourself, protect your energy, and know when people are just trying to be like, oh, let me just, you know, they like to like jump in just to let you know I'm still here. No. No. Yeah.
And I find that crazy because, like, with the way that you vocalize it is like, all right, you realize that those people on social media aren't the people that you would like to have in your life, or God even wants in your life. And the way that I felt that understanding and that revelation of myself is, I started testing myself on whose relationship is actually necessary to have on the social media. So then I started going through people that I had on social media, people that would like talk to me every now and then or like a post or whatever. And then I was like, wait a second, who are these people here? What is their use? Why do they exist?
They're just keeping
online,
up.
You know?
They're just
so then
keeping
I
up.
literally just started removing people left and right. I was like, you don't belong here, you don't belong here. And then it's funny because a lot of people aren't really honest about family relationships. And when I say honest, I mean to themselves.
Right.
Like, is this family member like actually someone you would keep around? And if the answer is no, it's okay to not have them in your life like that, you know? Like, people are very scared of sending their family to like the side and loving from a distance. Because it's like, oh, well, you're my family. Like, you know, I'm supposed to be around you through thick and thin. And people think thick and thin is they're giving you all the bad energy and you're just supposed to be there sucking it. That's not it. That's not how that works. Thick and thin, you guys are working towards something, and there are good days and bad days of that. And y'all get through that as a family. But if all they're doing is presenting you with problems and you're just being crippled by the problems, they do not need to be there. And it's okay to remove them from your life.
Transparency, like you alluded to, I think that's a big thing. And I know people may feel like, I think you mentioned something very important earlier about like the history. I think because a lot of people feel like attached because of like time frames, like, well, they knew me for 10 years, even if y'all not talking and all that. I don't really think that matters, and it sounds sour, but I do focus more on the strength of the relationship than the length of the relationship. So I think a lot of people are caught up in that, so they're associated with so much people that they've been outgrown too. They have nothing in common, they're not benefiting you any way possible. In fact, they're a distraction. And a lot of people I do think are being like misused in a sense. That's why I think, like, what do y'all think about people, like, what do y'all think people should remember? What's the most important thing to remember in a relationship as far as the consideration aspect? Because I think a lot of people are inconsiderate to their friends or like people they have relationships with.
That's an internal question.
It is. Because like honesty with yourself allows you to clear cut your boundaries. If you don't understand what it is you're feeling enough to vocalize it, then your boundaries are going to be always gray area. Like you're never going to be able to say, no, I actually don't like this, and I prefer you to not do that.
Don't talk to me like that.
You know?
Like, don't address me like that. I'm not who I used to be, you know? Like, that's human nature, though. Like, that
Yeah.
pondering on these old relationships. Like, we're human. Like, we long for love and attention.
Exactly.
And sometimes dark places.
Wow.
Sometimes with dark people. Sometimes with familiar pain. Familiar trauma. Like, it's like when you're in a dark place, that person you call when you're in a dark place, because maybe
Exactly.
they're always in a dark place.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like you have to know, like, which toxic traits you inhabit. It's so funny because, like, you know, I love the Bible because we already have it preordained for us. Pluck it out of your eye first before you go telling everybody else to take it out of theirs.
Wow.
You have to know, like, inside, when I hold these negative traits and these negative accounts, and then look
Right.
around and say, okay, well, who's now mirroring that? Because that's the mirror effect.
Yeah.
You are who you hang around. Not who you hang around might be who you are. No, you pick them.
Wow.
It's like you pick the fruit, you pick what you eat, you pick your friends.
Wow.
You pick them. So
Yeah.
everyone that you surround yourself with is a reflection of you. Even your parents. If you keep your parents close and you want to tell them, you can't talk to me like that. Don't embarrass me in front of my business peers. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends. Don't disrespect me like that. Respect me. How you and your parents, how you and your siblings, how you all communicate is a reflection of you and what you think you deserve. Nobody
Exactly.
is supposed to walk around taking. Oh, that's just how they are.
Wow.
And you have to pay attention to their reaction in which you give once you give that constructive feedback. If you, even to the level like your mom or dad, if you're saying, "Hey, that was a little out of pocket. I felt
Yeah.
disrespected. I don't think you should talk to me like that."
Yeah.
And if they have a problem with you correcting them as an adult, I think that goes on a level of how do they respect you and your growth. You know, if you're correcting
Wow, talk about
if
it.
you're correcting
Yeah.
your friend, like, look, I know we've been good for like 10 years, but you just crossed the line and you gotta chill. And they have a problem with that, then they obviously have not ever respected your boundary, first of all,
Yeah.
and they have not cared about the growth that you've
Right.
gone in. And your circle will bring you down, you know, especially if it's a circle that you've grown up with for such a long period of time. And as you grow into a young adult, you grow as a person, you gain new personality traits, you gain new interests. And if they're not supporting you in that, then yeah, it is time to cut them off. And I think part of your question, I don't think a lot of people are considerate about time, right? Or your time. A lot of people do love you for what you can give them, but they don't love you for how y'all can collab together. Like that, and that's what a friendship is. That's what a relationship is. Any type of relationship is a collaboration.
Right.
So I think people need to better respect people's time. They need to be okay. Put their pride aside, put your ego aside, and be okay with being critiqued, right? There's a difference between critique and criticize. So when you do give that critique, you have to watch your delivery as well if you do consider that person a friend.
Man of approach, basically.
Yeah, and then just reevaluate, once you get that reaction.
I think
Okay.
that's so important because,
Yeah.
like, a lot of times we don't want to be criticized.
Exactly.
We don't want it. We just
don't
don't want it.
Anything that remotely that's telling us anything we don't want to hear about ourselves sometimes.
Here's our
Because it's
pride.
hard.
It's hard, yeah.
Because, you know, in a world where everybody and everything is telling you what you should be,
Exactly.
what you should do, what you should wear, what you should listen to, what
Yeah.
you should read, it's like, I want to have some me. So when
Yeah.
you are listening to people around you, because I have to empathize with the people who are constantly walking around feeling like people are picking on them.
Exactly.
But no, it's not that people are picking on them. It's that you might inhabit some really negative traits.
Right.
And the longer that you hold on to them, we all have them. Like, I'm not going to sit here like I'm perfect. We all have things that we work on. But having that mindfulness and not being ashamed. Like, I'm not attached to my negative traits. Like, it's
Yeah.
just something that, like, okay, maybe I have.
Yeah.
You know, just to get a little bit deeper on that, like, when I was younger, I had a horrible temper. Horrible. I was the youngest. My sisters never listened to me. My mom never listened to me. No one ever
Right.
took me seriously. I always had to be 10 times louder, 10 times more over the top, 10 times more dramatic,
Right.
just to be seen, just to command my space, right?
Right.
So as an adult, I became more calm and I became more serene, but in those moments where I didn't feel seen and I didn't feel heard, it felt infuriating, like that temper was coming
Yeah.
out. But that does not mean that I really wasn't seen.
Wow.
That doesn't mean that I really wasn't heard.
Yeah.
that's just something that I internalized. You have to know what you internalize because we're constantly perceiving. We perceive the relationships around us like, oh, they probably think like that. No, ask them. Like literally ask them, but instead of perceiving, you know? Exactly. Like we have to start being more honest. And to get to your first question, honesty might be the root of a good relationship. Because if you can't be honest, it's not a friendship, it's not a relationship, it's nothing. If you can't be honest. If I can't tell you about you while you're in my presence, we shouldn't be in the same room. Because I'm constantly going to keep it real. Yeah. And I want that. I want people around me to be like, Lee, like, you weren't right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I recently watched Kevin Hart. Have you seen his documentary? Yeah. Kevin had this moment where it was like, Kevin, you weren't right. And everybody around him felt the same way, but he couldn't see it. For himself. He couldn't see it for himself. And it wasn't until he had something bad happen to him and he had an accident until he started to come to light. You gotta come to light before God comes to you. Right. And he will humble you heavily. Period. I'm telling you, I felt that part too.
Honestly, not even
I'm
shake
spiritual,
the foundation.
So I feel that all
He'll
the way.
take the foundation off, crumble the building, and make sure
Say,
you lie on top of the rubble and say, now look around you.
Just to build you back up.
This is all the things that you were supposed to see, and now I had to do this.
So much wisdom behind everything. Wow. Oh my goodness. So I want to jump to like more intimate now.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to gauge from y'all. Like, how important is having a friendship before establishing a relationship, as far as dating a partner? Like, how important is it to date somebody you had a friendship with or build a friendship with? Or do you think that matters at all?
I believe that heavily matters to me.
Okay.
And I'd say that because in my experience with relationships, I always realize something with like a new person way later than it was best to have realized it. You know, so like as I'm learning the person and things are good, you know, you're thinking like the relationship is amazing, and that's about a year in. You know, year 2 comes, and it's like, wait, there's so many things I didn't realize. There's so many ways that you interact with me now that you weren't doing before, and now you're learning another phase of them because again, they're growing as you're growing. And when you started the relationship, I feel like a lot of people think of relationships as like a stagnant start and stop thing. Like you get into the relationship is there as just the relationship. No, the relationship is something that moves around. It's not a solid point. It zigzags, it goes around, and it will get larger or smaller depending on how the both of you grow and develop. So with that being said, if I see that a person is growing and they're growing in a way that I don't like, now it creates a conflict because as people, we want to like save everyone or, you know, be heard or give everyone like those million tries. But then if the other person is growing away from you and you can see that and you're trying to fight their growth away, the relationship now heads to a completely different path. But now when you have those friends that you've seen where their growth is taking them, you've seen how they develop, how they handled years of different trials and tribulations, you clearly understand that person, their habits, and how they will grow as an individual. So from there, you can actually make an educated decision on that relationship will actually go beyond this amount of time in a healthy manner. And I feel like that's very key to having a prolonged relationship that can eventually lead to a goal of being married and having kids and having a healthy family with that person. Because you see that growth and you can see the potential for their growth in the future so that you never reach that plateau in your relationship where now everything is either make it or break it and you now have kids and now you're going to break your entire family because you could not tell if someone was going to grow a certain type of way by the time you got there.
Okay, that's a rather unique perspective. All right.
Man,
what y'all think about that too?
I do believe before you get to that level of intimacy, you have to take the time to get to know them, right? But I don't know if you call that a friendship. And I think that's where I'm kind of in between that. Yeah, because I think if you are looking for a friendship and then it becomes a relationship, then it's always partly going to be a friendship. And I think it might limit that person, one of y'all's, ability to kind of have your own separate friends as well. But to your point, you do absolutely have to get to know somebody, right? Or that's where dating gets involved, right?
Yeah.
Right. You go out on dates, you get to talk to one another, you truly get to know and understand what type of person that is, and there's no real time frame on that, right? Everybody's way of getting to know someone is different. You know, I feel like I'm able to catch a vibe first time I meet you, right? I'm gonna know if I am gonna want to continue to talk to you or not, just based off of first interaction. But that doesn't mean I'm ready to just up and date right away. Like it could take months, it could take 1 month, who knows? But I feel like you absolutely have to take the time to get to know that person.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well,
what you think?
oh my gosh. I feel like you have to be friends with your spouse. Like, my fiance and I were like kind of going over these, you know, scenarios before I came here, and we got to talking about like, you know, long-term relationships.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, how do you feel about it? And he kind of told me like, it doesn't feel like we've been dating for long. And I thought about it. We've been together for 4 years, and it really does feel like yesterday. Like, I know cheesy, corny, whatever, but it's true. And that's because we genuinely enjoy each other's space.
Oh, you have to.
We genuinely enjoy each other's space.
Right.
Like, that's my friend. Like, that's my buddy. Like, I'm his buddy. Like, and kind of piggybacking off what you're saying about, like, not having friends, like, that's true. Because at the end of the day, like, when you're growing, you gotta put the blinders up. Like, I don't got time to talk on the phone for 20 minutes. I don't got time to hear your problems. I don't got time to hear what you got going on, because it's so funny. I always get on the phone with my family and I always push them out for I'm like, I got 30 minutes. I'm gonna call y'all all back to back, because it's only gonna be 10-minute conversations anyway, because I know that 1,000% it's only going to be them asking me one time how I'm doing, and then it's going to be like, oh, well, let me tell you about what I was doing. And I love that.
Man.
Let me tell you, I love my family, but I know, I'm like, I already respect it. I know what we're getting ourselves into. So I'm like, having a partner who I love and I enjoy his space and his energy. Stop dating people whose energy you don't like. Stop dating people
It's
you don't
impossible.
like.
I don't understand that.
Stop dating people you don't
It
like.
does happen.
Stop dating people you can't get along with. Stop dating people that you can't wait until they leave. Okay? Stop dating people you can't bring around your friends. Don't bring a girl around whose energy is not going to go with the guys that you think are lifetime men in your life. Because let's be honest. Let's be honest. Because it goes for fellas and ladies too. Because women will bring around these men and they'll be like, oh my gosh, he's this and he's that. And it'll ruin good, rooted friendships. Because women, we do this thing where when we like somebody, we want to spend like all our time with you. And it's not because like, it's just our nature. Like, we just like really want to get to know guys. Like, I've been like that with every single one of my relationships. And my fiance was the only one that I was like, I'm sitting out. But it's just what we do. And it might come off clingy, but I really think it's a woman's intuition, getting to really know that person. And a lot of men are the same way too. Like, a lot of men, we like to label it as a society clingy, but I think it's a good thing. If you're really enjoying someone's time, spend every day of the week with them. Why? Because you're going to get to know everything. You're going to see if they got road rage. You're going to see how they talk to their mama. You're going to see how they talk to their friends. And you're going to see how they talk to you. Because you can only save face for like 2 hours. And then you're going to start being you. Exactly. So it's like so important to like, I really say put people to the test. I've always done that. Like, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Don't use it as a weapon, use it as a tool. But what I'm saying is like, pick up on those red flags. That goes for men and women.
Red flags.
We are so like, oh my gosh. I hear it all day long. You know, people live in this fantasy world where it's like, oh, but maybe one day. Stop living in one day. When people show you who they are, take it. Believe them. Believe it. You're not going to change anybody. That's so true. So when you have friendships that turn into intimate relationships, personally, I feel like it's a recipe for absolute love and genuineness and kindness. And you want to know why? Because when you're in a relationship, like my relationship, we have a building relationship. My fiance and I met when we were 17. So we've built all of our businesses together. That's not always pretty. That's not always sweet.
Really good point.
I'm like, sometimes I tell him, I'm not your girl, I'm your CEO. Get it done. Like, I have to put my foot down, and I expect the same from him. He's my accountability person. You gotta be your partner's accountability person. Like we've been saying this whole time, it's a collaboration. It's a relationship. It's like so much deeper than the surface, so why do we treat it like so laxy-daisy? Something people don't understand about intimacy is that you literally take on that person's energy when you're intimate with them. So if you don't like somebody, don't be intimate with them, because you're about to take on all of their negativity, men and women.
Both sides.
Period. You really have to read people for exactly what they are and exactly what they're giving you. And if that person is meant to be in your life and it's meant to be a long, loving relationship, God will bring them back when they are at your level. Stop going down to everybody else's level, everybody. Find people that are at your level, because you will find them. And one more thing I want to add is like growing with your partner. A lot of people in our generation, the younger generation, they want a man who already got the bag. They don't want to find a man to help him build the bag.
Exactly.
You know, I think there's something that we're losing by wanting people to have all this money the first time we meet them at 22, 23, 24, 25 years old.
Wow.
You have to be able to grow with someone, to glow with someone. Like those couples that just be like, oh, you glow together. No, it's because we grew together. That's why we glow together. So, you know, even if you find someone that's like, wow, like I really love her, like I love everything about her, she's so sweet, but she don't know what she want to do. Stay with her.
Exactly.
Help her find what she want to do. Stay with him. Help him find what he want to do, because being in a relationship is like, he picks me up when I'm down, I pick him up when he's down, and it's like we just live on this level where it's a constant love and friendship. That's what God wants for us, is to find a lifelong friend, because your friends aren't going to be around you forever. They're going to grow old. They're going to have kids. They're going to stop calling as much. You're going to see each other in the Hamptons in the summer, and that's going to be it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have your partner, and it's going to be that. So it has to be a friendship. It has to be a friendship.
Like, as I think about that, like, there's so much that, like, it makes me think about, like, a few things that I started to realize in my own life with my own different relationships. And you have to understand that the people you want in your life are like water. When you drink water, you're refreshed every time. You drink that water and you're like, okay, let's keep going. But then there's those people where it's like muddy water. You drink that and you feel sick after. Now you want to go to sleep all the time. Now you just like, you know what, I'm not going to do it today.
Groggy.
And you know, and it's like, you have to be able to differentiate. Like when you're around someone's energy, what happens to you afterwards? Like what are you feeling?
And
You
during.
cool now?
During.
You know, because like, you see what I'm saying? Like, are you fighting to stay in that room and hold yourself together?
Walking on eggshells.
You know, because like one thing I learned in my job is like, the fight or flight reflex was made for disaster situations where you need to survive. But what happens when you put the bear in the room with you all the time? You now develop into a completely different species of person.
Wow.
Because now you're constantly like bugging and your adrenaline's constantly high and you're always feeling like something ain't right here. And that's what your body's telling you. And you're sitting in the room like, it's okay, the bear's not gonna get it. and that's not helping you, because at first it starts off as your body kind of giving you the response, but then eventually it causes health problems, and it causes mental problems and emotional problems, and then it all trickles down to, you know, and then now your spirituality is in question because you've let yourself deteriorate on all the levels.
Let's talk about
because
that.
You put yourself
Let's talk about that, because 1 in 5 Americans are depressed. Why?
Wow.
And not only because we live in a society that's constantly like making us money, making us tired, making us overworked. We're doped up on caffeine. We're not sleeping as much. We're not eating well.
We're traumatized.
We're traumatized.
Traumatized.
People literally have PTSD who don't know that they have PTSD.
PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes, and just keep in mind, now add negative relationships. Now add negative energy on top of all that. Because 90% of people don't want to let people go. You have to ask yourself, what am I going to lose by letting this person go?
People
Peace of
fear.
mind.
Something that's not good for you for so long.
People fear being alone. And I think that's the answer for it. Humans, and I think you did make this point earlier, humans have a need to be in a relationship.
Yes.
At some point. Like, we thrive, I don't care if you're introverted or extroverted, you thrive around being around somebody.
Yeah,
At
it's our
some
nature.
point.
Yeah, it's just human nature.
I feel like the problem is just the misclassification, because everyone's trying to be independent, but we're not an independent species. We're interdependent. Everyone's so prideful about being independent, and it's like, you cannot survive by yourself.
No.
So taking pride in surviving by yourself hurts every relationship that you will build from that point forward. Because now you don't healthily know how to be in a relationship with other people that aren't just your romantic partner or your friends or your family. You keep treating everyone as if you got to do your own thing away from them all the time.
That's assessing your trauma. Like, you know, that goes back to people's childhood, how people around them made them feel. You know, if you don't feel heard in a room, if you don't feel respected in a room, some people would rather just be alone, you know? But I say to that, it's okay to be alone because you have to eliminate those relationships before you can grow new ones, right? Because God is never going to put something in front of you when you're holding on to the old thing because you're only going to disregard it. You're only going to think about how many people wait till something breaks to get something new.
That's so true.
It's the same thing. You're going to wait till that relationship is broken, dead, tired, low down before you find, you know what? Maybe I should get some new friends. Maybe I should get some people who respect me. Or you start assessing the other relationships, and now let's allocate our energy differently. I had to do that after college because I'm like, you know, when you grow up in your hometown and then you meet your college friends, I'm telling you, when they say like your college friends are your best friends, I'm like, no, but they are.
Facts.
They are.
Straight up.
Because they're like your soulmates in a way, where it's like, you get it. You're grinding for it. We're all grinding to get something greater. We might not have the same thing, but I align with your grind, right? And sometimes those older relationships can be dead weight because let's just face it. Sometimes when we're successful, other people don't like it.
That's just the reality.
And that just keeps them down because all they're thinking about and all they're consuming is what they aren't. And you're consuming what you are. So by eating what you are, you're growing more. And by eating what they're not growing at all. You have to stop letting go of relationships for people who really aren't happy for you. That's really true. Because there is a difference between a text message and an Instagram DM. There just is. I'm so sick of society being like, oh, well, I DM'd you.
So did
Like
a
you don't have
million
my
other
number.
people.
Like you don't have my number.
So did a million other people.
Because that's showing me that you are no different. If you have my number and you love me and it's my birthday and I love you and it's your birthday and I even feel like, oh, I want to support that person or, oh, I'm proud of that person. Like I meet people on social media all the time who I'm like I align with their spirit. I can see it. Like I can sense it, and all of us can. You know the people where it's like, oh, like, you know, if I ever met that person, we could definitely kick it. Why? Because like-minded individuals, birds of a feather flock together. And then you start to get deeper into the relationships of old friends. And it's like, why don't you gas me like the person I just met 2 days ago? Why don't you be telling? Stop asking them. Stop making it about you because it's really about them. Stop making it about you because it's not about your success. They're happy for you, but they're not happy for themselves. So people who aren't happy with themselves can never be happy for you. Exactly. And that is in our relationships. If you are not secure, be prepared to find an insecure person. If you are not confident, be prepared to find an insecure person. If you are a cheater, be prepared to find a cheater. If you're a liar, be prepared to find a liar.
And I think
it's gonna match. Like, the energy is always gonna match.
I think that always goes back.
I'm not gonna lie. Like this gems that was dropped today, I promise you guys help somebody out there.
I hope so.
I promise you.
I hope
even
so.
Myself, I'm hosting, but I'm learning as I'm hosting.
That's what it's about. We learn from each other.
We learn from each other.
Yeah.
I thank you guys so much for taking your time to come out. I can't stress it enough. And I know people will want to feel free to probably reach out or even follow you guys.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want you guys, just to wrap up, to just say your Instagram handles to the camera before we close out. Thank y'all so much once again.
Thank you.
This was really a good conversation. I enjoyed every last second of it. I'm telling you.
All right, guys, so you can find me on social media. I hope you enjoyed the gems that we dropped tonight. We might have to pick this up on my podcast and do like a part 2 because this was really good.
We could have kept this going.
Go for 3 days.
This is very necessary. But you guys, seriously though, have healthy relationships, make boundaries, assess the relationships in your life, and be around the people who make you feel good and that you want to make feel good. So follow me on social media. My name is Aaliyah Mayo. That's ALEEYAMAYO TV. I look forward to hearing from some of y'all.
All right, and for me, I hope you all were able to take those gems. I hope you may have written them down because gems don't always stay in the air. You're going to want to pluck those out and put those in your back pocket. It's going to be necessary at some point. And I hope you all are able to truly set aside time to internalize what we say. Because there are a lot of times when we hear gems and we don't actually integrate them in ourselves. and then we just go back to living our life. So, you know, for me, if you would like to continue conversations like the one we had today, you know, you could always hit me up at Bango, BANGOGH_, and shoot me a DM. We could have a whole conversation based off of whatever it is that you wanted to continue from this conversation. I may post it on my story, or I may make a TV video for it, but you gotta let me know.
And just hold your partners accountable, and no matter what relationship, right? Hold them accountable and just be honest with yourself. So remember, y'all can follow me at Darius.Hockeyday, or you can follow my business page, Hockeyday LLC. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And of course, to the viewers, thank y'all for tuning in. As y'all can see, the gems, as they alluded to, was all over. I hope everybody took heed. And one thing I learned from this, listening to this segment myself as I was hosting, is sometimes the people you want a part of your story are only meant to be a chapter. And sometimes the people that you want in your life are there for a reason or a season. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you next episode. Thank y'all, man. This was my favorite one. Wow.
Right? Yeah, I enjoyed this
really,
conversation.
like,
it's personal.
wow.
That was
It's
fun.
personal.
Like, because the thing is, you know, this was the one where we was looking at. It's like, it's so
One, two, three, let's go.
Somebody gotta do it. Somebody gotta show you how we living. And come and watch our vision, driven by ambition. Yeah. More than a brand, it's a lifestyle. Didn't take one day, it was a while. Yeah. Through unity, we got victory. Got a whole team, it wasn't just me. We all stand together, together we all better, never folded under pressure. Strong for motivation, that's what keep me going all day, yeah. Somebody, somebody, somebody gotta do it. Somebody, somebody, somebody gotta do it.
Thank you for watching SGDI Talks. If you like what you just watched, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more exclusive content and an opportunity to feature it on our upcoming episodes. Also, follow us on IG at SGDI Talks. See you next time.